Hello, I'm Avery or Hazel or Kylie. You can just pick one, I don't care.
Hello, I am Lily.
And welcome to the From the Closet podcast. Today we are covering Blade Runner. And I have to announce that we're shifting release schedules of the podcast. Um, you've already you've already seen the effects of this uh, by the time this episode will come out, but this is the first time we're recording an episode since these new scheduling changes have been made. So now the
Yeah,
pod,
before it was Monday, Tuesday, and then for a while it was whatever, everything was out the window. And I think now I can this is a very good consistent thing for me to upload.
yeah. So now podcast episodes will be released on Tuesday and Friday. But and another thing too, uh, just to point out to go along with that, the Patreon releases of these podcast episodes will always be on Monday. Uh, Now, this doesn't mean that you will only receive that week's episodes on Monday, but that's probably going to be the case most of the time.
And there's some other things we need to that's unusual announcements out of the way.
Yeah. So now, you obviously this podcast will contain spoilers for Blade Runner. If you would like to avoid those spoilers, there will be a link in the description below to the Just Watch page for this movie, which will have links to all of the places you can rent, purchase, or stream this movie, with price comparisons for renting and purchasing. As of right now, in the US, this movie is not available for streaming. That's right, right?
Gas. Um, I
I know,
think so.
yeah, I know we had to purchase it, but
1 second. I'll just quickly open up. Yeah, and mm, but yeah, cheap buying prices at only $13 across the board.
yeah. Although I
But
think
why would you
that's
do that?
why would you do what? Like buy it?
Yeah.
I don't know. Why did we?
Hmm. So we are doing what everyone else, so everyone else doesn't have to.
Yes, we bought the movie, so you don't have to. Um, you can join us next week for something. Lily, can you spin the wheel to determine what that is?
I was
And
literally ready to spin the wheel, and I was like, oh, I should look up Blade Runner on Just Watch, and then completely forgot.
yeah. Wow.
That was on the wheel? Since when?
What is it?
Huh. Sleeping Beauty.
You put it on the wheel.
I don't remember.
I specifically remember you doing that because you wanted to get it out of the way so that if Maleficent ever comes onto Disney Plus, we could do it.
Oh, yeah. Do you also specifically remember the date I said that? Because I have no idea. Like, I don't remember if it was how long he's been on the wheel for.
It's been like a month.
That sounds about right.
So yeah, like I don't know why, but the wheel keeps landing on stuff that's been there for not very long, and there's tons of stuff that's been on the wheel for forever and it hasn't been landed on yet.
And I'll be honest, that's one of the ones I did want to wait on. So then when Maleficent, or if Maleficent ever drops, I can just slide that in a slot instead.
I will say this, Maleficent is a movie I'd be willing to purchase to add into the Movies Anywhere library that we have if if it just takes too long, but
Yeah.
it's a question of getting the
But,
money and then whether or not Maleficent is even available on Movies Anywhere.
I mean, that's something we can look at another time, but for my feelings now, fuck, I love that movie.
I haven't seen
I
it.
love that movie more than Sleeping Beauty.
I really enjoy Sleeping Beauty, but we'll talk about that next week. Um, and we'll also be discussing the Seven Deadly Sins. Was it season 3?
Yeah.
Okay. So look forward to both of those next week. Also, in the description, you'll find a link to our Patreon where you can vote on future episodes of the show, as well as get access to episodes before they release, as well as early access to episodes of our sister show, Off the Shelf, which is about books. And that podcast is exclusive to YouTube and Patreon. And I am not 100% sure if I will ever cover Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep on that podcast. I might. I also might not.
Is
So,
that actually the book that this movie was based off of?
yes.
I have a lot of questions.
Yeah. But I wanted to get that out of the way. Also, in the description, you will find a link to anchor.fm, which is now Spotify for podcasters. Um, and that page will have links to every platform that this podcast is on, as well as links to our Instagram and Twitter, where you can be notified when we release new episodes. If you'd like to support us but cannot do so financially, the best way to do so is to listen to our podcast on Spotify. But with all that being said, please get out if you would like to avoid spoilers, because we are going to start talking about the movie now. Okay,
So,
hold on.
I wanted to. Hmm?
Before we get into our individual opinions of the movie, I do have to say I respect how they went about adapting the book. Um, because like it is not a faithful adaptation of the book, but it didn't pretend to be one.
In fact,
Like
did he even try to be one?
like the director of the movie, like leading up to when the movie was going to release, literally said this movie is loosely based on the book. Like he was very clear that it was not going to be a recreation of the book for the screen.
Is
So
yeah, this movie definitely just screams. This movie was made it non. It's like they read the book and they're like, I like this idea. I want to loosely adapt this.
yeah, I want to tell my own story with the rules of this world.
And
That's
in that context alone, it works
yeah. Now
because it doesn't try to be something it's not. It just is.
something I want is do want to say I totally support the decision to change the title, because "Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep" is way too long for a freaking movie title.
I mean, I don't know. I've seen at least as long, but that's just a confusing title
Yeah,
that does not like it has no semblance within the movie other than oh hey look they're androids.
yeah. Now the fun thing is, the title, like this book, also inspired a Pokemon.
What Mareep?
Yes,
Oh shit! Wait, really?
yes. Mareep is like the inspiration for Mareep came from this book,
I'm totally gonna butcher this, but isn't Mareep Gen 3?
Gen 2.
Damn it!
Yeah, so like that's how Pokemon is weirdly connected to Blade Runner.
I mean, there have been things named after Pokemon before, so
Yeah,
that
but
the cycle just goes through.
yeah, I just thought it's a very interesting piece of trivia, and if any of you don't believe me, you can go and check Mareep's Bulbapedia page.
Huh.
But
This
yeah,
was inspired by this I'm not going to attempt to recreate the title because I most likely forgot every word.
Yeah, there's even a reference to the novel in Dragon Ball Z Abridged. I don't know
Like
if you.
the season that we watched, or
Well, Dragon Ball Z Abridged, we covered the entire thing.
oh,
Um,
okay.
so you remember in Dragon Ball Z Abridged when like they were first going to go fight the androids and they were looking around trying to find them.
I That sounds familiar.
Yeah, so there's a scene where Goku is standing on top of a building and he's like, "Where he's like, "Where are the androids? If I were an android, where would I be? I guess being an android wouldn't really change where I am, just what I am." And then he says, "I wonder if they dream of electric sheep."
Huh. Which that is such a Goku thing to like Goku bridge thing to say though.
It is, but it's also a really cool reference if you understand it. And then there's even a
Which, as
later
you were
line.
saying,
Sorry,
sorry.
just while we're on Dragon Ball Z Abridged for a second, there's even a later line where 17 says that Dr. Gero went all Blade Runner on them.
Okay, I think that's. I hope I got that when I was first watching that. Then again, like at the time of me watching that, the only experience of me watching this movie was in a movie analysis class, or just a class where we discuss movies. And that particular one, I was very drowsy with.
Yeah, this movie. So now we can talk about our actual thoughts on the movie. I honestly, okay, until yesterday, I had never seen this movie before in my life, and I just gotta say, this movie is incredibly overhyped.
I I don't even know what I watched or why I'm watching any like around the 30 minutes.
Yeah,
In fact,
like,
I'm glad that there was a book to movie adaptation so I can actually not book lost in adaptation, thank you, brain. So I can actually recount the things that actually happened in this movie.
yeah, like, it's so hard to figure out, like, when I'm watching this movie, it's so hard to figure out what I'm watching. It's like, oh, I see this thing happen, and I'm like, wait a minute, why is this happening? What is going on right now? And I haven't felt this level of confusion since The Last Unicorn, and I think this might be worse.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, when the last unicorn made me confused, I was interested in where it was going. When this makes me confused, I'm just like, why am I watching this again?
Yeah, it's like, I don't know. I don't get this. I think it's,
And also, it is so dark. And I'm not talking about like the theme. I'm talking the lighting.
yeah, that's another issue, and I don't think the only other movie I can think of where I have this issue is Venom. Um, and when I'm comparing a movie to Venom, it's probably not great.
Yeah, it's just, and the plot, like, you could understand where the plot's getting at, but at the same time, it's just so sloppy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like I have to wonder if the book is better, which is very often the case when it comes to book to movie adaptations. But these are like different stories from what I understand. So I don't know. I'm very curious about that, but am I curious enough to read the book? I'm not so sure.
I give you a 50-50.
Yeah, like I don't know. I feel like there's a million other books I'd rather read first. But yeah, like I don't know.
Yeah,
Like
this is just.
and God, there's like one scene in the movie where there's some kind of some things that bother me specifically about a relationship between two people, although I think it's actually a person and an android. I don't know. It's kind of hard to tell.
Yeah.
But yeah, like some weird creepy consent issues in a particular scene, and we've from the history on this podcast that I have a problem when I see consent issues being violated on screen. Like it's not something I enjoy seeing.
There's some interesting things. Like from what like I can actually have an interesting conversation about this movie just because of, the class I went to in high school.
Sure, go
Like
ahead.
how we were mainly discussing a lot of stuff with the replicants. How instead of using just, killed, they're retired.
Yeah, and
And a
that's
lot
such
of the moral aspects behind that.
yeah, like that's clearly done in an effort to dehumanize them. Because if you say you're killing them, then it that provokes more of an emotional response than saying retired.
I forgot what else we were talking about in that class, but I remember that was one of the main themes that we were discussing.
Yeah, like the thing about when you it's kind of hard to articulate this. Um, when you're fighting against opponents and like it is very often a tactic to dehumanize your opponents because then you don't really feel as bad for killing them. It's you
And
also
like
see
they deserved it. They're not like us.
yeah,
I
like
am doing a good thing.
I remember like reading the Mortal Instruments, which like this is a whole other tangent, but um there's the second half of that series is focused on a war that's very very bizarre where
Hmm.
like characters are like essentially killed and then their bodies are taken over by like this demonic magic that's like allowing them to live, but it's not really them. And
Well, that's creepy.
yeah, it's really fucking creepy. Um, and it's weird because the Mortal Instruments is not known for being creepy. Um, but
That's surprising.
yeah, like, but it's also just not entirely clear if the person who is like being controlled by this demonic magic is truly dead or if they're still there somewhere inside. But the good guys are just like, no, they're dead. You're not killing them, you're killing a monster. And I'm just
Huh.
like this is you're I see what you're doing here. You're dehumanizing them to make it easier to kill them. But they might still be alive in there. And you're not even trying to save any of them. They all die in the end anyway.
Spoilers?
So yeah, I don't know.
Says a person that probably was never going to read or slash watch or whatever that is, anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. Although I would recommend reading that series, but only if you um don't mind reading books that are part of a large connected universe. Kind of like Percy
Oh
Jackson.
god. Gotcha. I had the opportunity to buy the next book in the series and I just let it up, and I'm still angry at myself for that.
Yeah.
but whatever.
Yeah. And also like the universe that these books are a part of isn't even finished yet. There's like
Huh.
one more trilogy that's supposed to come out to close everything out, and I think they're
Hmm.
literally supposed to be fighting Satan in that last series. So,
Metal as fuck.
yeah. But anyway, like I don't know. This movie I didn't really know how to feel about it cuz I found myself unable to fully get a grasp on what was going on. And even in the Lost in Adaptation video, I found myself questioning, wait, but why are these the story events that are happening? Like I don't really see the connective thread between events. And I think that's the problem for me with this movie.
Yeah, it's definitely it goes between shots without much contingency or explanation.
I think the word you were looking for there was continuity, but yeah,
I mean, I
like
didn't mean explanation, but yeah, I did mean continuity.
but yeah, I don't know. Like this movie felt weird. Um and I'm trying to remember who the director was because it was someone I recognized. Um
Hmm.
and I just can't think of it right now, and that's going to bug me forever because I'm
Until
not
you remember.
yeah, I don't know. But like I don't know, this movie it feels like everyone praises this movie and I don't know, maybe we both just have bad takes. Um I mean we liked Candace Against the Universe. So,
That is true. Wait, did we? Oh shit, we did cover that, didn't we? Did
yes,
we?
we yeah, we did.
I I don't remember that. Huh.
Why why don't you remember that? Like I even made you go and listen to the unused songs from the movie before we covered it.
For some reason, I remember that.
But yeah, I don't know.
Don't ask.
What else did your like film analysis class talk about with this movie?
Hmm. I mean, it was over a year ago. I can't remember much. But well, we did have like I can't remember what project we used for that one actually. It could have been one of the makeup podcasts, but I think it was too early in the semester for that.
Huh. It's kind of funny that that was a thing at all.
Yeah, it was kind of ironic at the time.
Wait, were we? Yeah, we were already doing
Yeah,
this
yeah, we
podcast.
totally were,
Did you
and she
tell?
knew about it.
Oh, that's hilarious.
I know, right? No, I and we were definitely talking about the same themes for like when we were talking about Blade Runner 2.
Yeah,
Through parts of it, we even got to go to the auditorium to watch it.
interesting. What other movies did y'all cover? Or and were there any other movies that y'all talked about that we've already covered?
Um, well, we never officially talked about it, but there was this project where like we had to research this movie, and I forgot why we were researching it, but we were researching it for something, and I did Willy Wonka.
Interesting.
Um, but there was another movie we watched, and I think it was Citizen Kane. Kane, that was the name.
Oh my god, I do not like that movie.
That was actually the more interesting movie of what we covered. Oh, right, we covered earlier in the in the term in the class, we covered a few silent movies.
Interesting. I don't know if we're ever gonna do any.
I
I
completely
mean,
forgot about the silent movies that we did.
yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know. Like, silent movies are kind of, there's something, but I don't know if there's any that people would recognize. It feels like if we
Oh
covered
yeah,
those, there wouldn't be anything recognizable for people to talk. Like, it, I imagine the click through rate on those videos would be terrible.
but Avery, the click through rate, we already have a terrible click through rate.
I don't know. I'd have to check my analytics to see, but something tells me they're not even showing our videos in the algorithm at all. So we probably don't have a terrible click through rate. We probably just have none.
Huh. I mean, wouldn't that also be? Isn't zero a terrible number? I
Well,
hate the
see,
number zero. It owes me $5.
it wouldn't even be zero because zero implies that the video is being shown to other people and they're just
So it's
and
like
no
a
one's
dash.
clicking. Yeah, it would be
So
null.
just damn, null owes me $10.
Which isn't terrible. It's neutral.
Fair enough.
But yeah, I don't know. This movie, uh, I couldn't get into it, and from what you've told me, the second movie's better. But like from what I understand, you were sleeping through that one too.
I slept less. Like, to be fair, I did try to. I mean, I did know most of the plot, though. Like every once in a while, I had to like shake myself off and stop daydreaming.
Yeah. Well, like I imagine the general public is not going to agree that the second movie's better, but we're not the general public. These are our own reviews. And if you don't like our opinion, well then that's just like your
That's just
opinion,
life, man.
man.
Though, to be fair, I'm not actually like when I say the second movie is better. You already know this, but I'm not actually pulling from my own opinion. I'm pulling through the opinion that I got from most of the people in my class that watched the same thing.
Yeah, and like I don't know, it could be a generational thing. This movie released fucking ages ago. Um,
Oh,
so
technically, 2047 released like 2017. Jesus.
no, so the sequel is
Well,
2049.
oh, god damn it. So close.
But like this movie's like from the 80s.
19 something.
Yeah, it has to be from the 80s.
Oh,
Just
god damn it. I thought it was 1990. No, it's 1982.
it was sorry, what?
1982.
Yeah. Like I knew just from looking at it that this movie had to be from the 80s because there's literally no other era of film that this movie feels like it could belong in.
Now, I don't mean to mention like the class I experienced too much now, but one more thing. We had to turn up the brightness on the for the projector because we just could not see a thing.
Yeah. See, like that goes back to the darkness issue that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah. It's like,
And
damn, are you trying to be the next Batman film?
oh, and on top of
Like,
everything
oh,
too.
dark and broody.
On top of everything too, I usually watch movies at the library before we
Hmm.
cover them here. At least that's what I've had to do lately because I don't have decent internet at home, and I won't for a while until I can get some debts paid off. But this is the
Okay,
first.
just the way that you say that sounds like you're talking about like the mafia. Like, you get some of that debt paid off.
Okay, can you shut up? Um,
Sorry.
but anyway, Um, this is the first time where I've watched a movie at the library where I felt uncomfortable watching it.
Oh, right. Since I mentioned it, I should probably have a little disclaimer. There was when I was watching this at school, there was some parts that were skipped.
I mean,
Probably should have mentioned that.
yeah, that would have to be the case. This is a rated R movie.
We also did sign waivers. Though I believe I was no, I wasn't 18 at the time. Though I was 18 in the second half of the class.
But anyway, you want to get into the critic ratings? They're going to be like really high. I already know.
I would love to get in the critic ratings. Okay, this is actually a first for one thing. You know how we'd usually get IMDb Rotten Tomatoes?
Mm-hmm.
This time they're both at the back, and the front one is Just Watch with 88%, IMDb with 8.1 out of 10, Rotten Tomatoes at 89%, and 86% of Google users like this movie.
Wow. Okay.
That's
So,
actually surprising. Like, sorry for interrupting you, but that's kind of an interesting consensus. Not like they're high, but they're all around the same.
yeah, see, here's the thing about this. Okay, I kind of was expecting the scores to be higher. But
Hmm.
I guess everyone felt that this movie like was the embodiment of everything 80s, so everyone gave it an 80s rating.
Wow. Nah, I think this has to be in the 50s.
I don't know.
But
I'm not.
actually, no. Because, no, the last unicorn embodied the 50s, so has to be lower than that.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about this movie. Just remember that these are our own opinions. So when I rate this movie low, um, keep in mind this is just my opinion, and it's fine if you like this movie. I'm giving this a 4.6.
Hmm. Yeah, 4.7.
Yeah. All right. Well, will we be covering Blade Runner 2049? Well, it's on the wheel, so yeah. Um, but I really hope it's a long time before we get to it. And I say
I don't know,
that,
it could
and
be the next recording after because of how unpredictable this wheel is.
well, I mean, we've got two other recordings that we got to get through before we even get to recording Sleeping Beauty. So
Huh.
anyway,
And here I was almost looking forward to Sleeping Beauty.
yeah, and I actually think there's going to be more than just those two recordings because uh, free movie of the month. Well, actually, I guess it would just be three recordings to get through if we do free movie of the month.
And which we need to, yeah.
Yeah, but because we still haven't done our free movie of the month for, we still haven't recorded our free movie of the month for August, because at the time we're recording this episode, it's still
It's
July.
not August.
Yeah, it's still July. So yeah, um, but until next time, I've been Avery. That's been Lily, and we will be seeing you.